About what's going on in Ireland with the Celtic Tiger and the banks are hurting so much, the downfall. What's the story here?
Do you really want to know?
I'd love to know.
Well, I'll tell you, it's like what has happened all over the Western world for the last 20 and 30 years. Greed, and more fucking greed and cheap money. And in Ireland, it's a tragedy what happened to the Tiger. We have, I'd say, 4 causes. We had a stupid fucking government. We had a regulator that was asleep at the wheel. We had very deceitful and conniving and corrupt developers. And of course, above all, wanking fucking bankers. Wanking bankers. We had these arseholes that for the last 20, 30 years are getting these massive bonuses, these employees and directors of banks, on the misfortune of the working class, and getting these huge bonuses and salaries. But, you know, if you and all these arseholes should be thrown in jail and the keys thrown away for the rest of their life. And you know, sir, if you went in and you're unemployed and you wanted to take a loaf of bread out of a store or a supermarket to feed your family, guess what? You'll be up in court for it. These assholes are living all over the world now on the backs of the misfortunate working people. And who's going to pay for all this? We've mortgaged the next generation or two. Who's going to pay for it? The working man. We got the labourer, the small farmer, the fisherman, the nurse, the teacher, the policeman, the fireman, the plumber, the carpenter. Fuck's sake, man, this is a joke.
So I'm sensing a wee bit of discontent?
You are indeed, sir. And by the way, let's not be too cocky in this part of the world, North America either. All these debts that people have accumulated over the last 30 years. Hey, everybody gets their day in the sunshine.
Now this is us taking the game to the engineers rather than the oil rags of this, because my feeling is, you know, you can protest outside White House and you can protest outside Parliament, but you're protesting against the oil rags, really. You're protesting against those who are just fronting up, and mostly unknowingly, this whole system. What we need to do is to identify the engineers of manipulation, not the players out of it, and focus on them. Find out where they are in public situations and just keep giving them no peace, because they're not used to that. They're used to operating in the shadows. Those like Blair that do operate in the public arena are not used to having questions put to them that the mainstream media wouldn't ask, like softball questions. And we start taking the game to them. And another part of this is what I'm emphasizing is that in the numbers game, humanity wins, you know, lock, stock and barrel, game, set and match, however you want to symbolize it. Because in the full awareness of what they're doing, we are talking a relative handful of people compared with the 7 billion, I'm told, is the current population or thereabouts. And so you've got 7 billion being manipulated, a handful doing the manipulation. So there's so few, they have to recruit from the target population to enforce their agenda and administer their agenda through uniforms and dark suits. And the dynamics of power, the dynamics of understanding where the power is, needs to shift from it's up there to it's here and here and here. It's with the people. And for me, we've got an opportunity here in this catastrophe that's happening around the world, not least in America, of foreclosures. Now, I'm reading that the banks are trying to justify, or at least seeking to put out there, that the reason they have falsified foreclosure documents and basically broken the law massively to get people out of their homes as quick as possible, where the documentation, if they use the genuine stuff, either has been lost or would take a lot longer time. I'm hearing that they're saying, well, we're doing this because we can't cope with the number of foreclosures, so we've got to make the process quicker. Now, what comes back to me is this. If they are struggling to process foreclosures from the scale that's happening now, when 99% of people are leaving their homes when the foreclosure documentation is through, what the hell would they do if people refuse to leave? if the scale of people who are being foreclosed refused to leave, the system couldn't cope.
Exactly.
And, you know, for me, we need to forget all this stuff about being law-abiding. Forget it. It's rubbish, and I'll tell you why it's rubbish. This is how laws are created. First of all, a president can sign an executive order. There's no debate. They've only got to put that executive order on view, and it becomes the law, or can be in the background to become the law if certain circumstances happen, like martial law is declared or something. And then you have people in the Senate and Congress and in the British Parliament, all the other parliaments, who are voting fodder for legislation. And if they actually are against it, then they're given the facts of life of what happens if they vote against legislation their party machine wants through. Now, in an election, as with Obama, classic, extreme example, there is no contract between those seeking election and the electorate. So there's no contract that I will do what I say I'll do to get your vote. What I do, and what Obama did to an extreme level, is I will tell you what I think you want to hear without getting into any specifics whatsoever, because that would be fatal for me. So I'm going to spend a whole year and more talking about change, hope you can believe in, and all this stuff. And I'm not going to specify any of it, because what I'm trying to do, or what my controllers who are using me are trying to do, is make me an empty screen that you can project onto me, all those different people, what you believe that change is. Because if I specify, then I've lost all those people who are not seeing change like that. So I'm just like an empty screen. Anything that I have specified, like I will close Guantanamo Bay in a year, I don't have to keep to. There's no contract. So then this person gets votes to get into alleged power as a result of what he said, and then does the absolute opposite and none of the things that virtually that he said he was going to do. And yet brings in laws which the people have had no say in, they've had no debate about. Other laws are going through Congress and the Senate, the British Parliament, that the people have had no say in and no debate about. 75% of the laws going through the British Parliament now and other European parliaments start out with bureaucrats in Brussels, haven't been elected by anybody. And then we say, well, it's the law, you've got to obey the law. No, you've not.
No, you don't.
I'll tell you what you have to obey if we're going to get a decent world here. We have to obey our natural instincts of basic fairness, basic justice, and basic integrity. Now, if a law fulfills that criteria, I have no problem with it. And that's fair enough. But if that law is not designed to provide justice, a benefit to the community, integrity or fairness, but actually to destroy all of them, what the heck are we doing obeying that law? It has no basis in moral justice, therefore what are we obeying it for? And this thing with the foreclosures is a classic, because we have this little circle going on here, where people lose their homes because they lose the jobs or their income drops and they can't pay the mortgage. They can't pay the mortgage because they lost the jobs, and lost the jobs because of an economic recession, a massive economic recession, which was caused by the banks and the banking system that took away checks and balances on purpose at the top level to allow unfettered greed to run riot, as they knew it would, and create this catastrophe. Then two things happen. Bankers like Timothy Geithner and Larry Summers. Geithner was brought in by Obama as his Treasury Secretary, and Summers was brought in a major economic role. They then decide that the way out of this crash caused by banks is to actually take vast amounts of non-existent, but still in theory has to be paid back, credit borrowing. From where? the banking system, much of it, and give it to the banks to bail them out. Then these banks, which have, let's go through this, you know, beam me up, Scotty, please, this bloody mad down here, right? The banks created the problem. The banks, and therefore people can't pay their mortgage. The banks then get bailed out by the people, many of whom now can't pay their mortgage. And then these bailed out banks who caused the problem come along and say you can't pay your mortgage, we're foreclosing on your house. And we're leaving? I mean, come on. Hey, we're infinite consciousness. Not bloody slaves. Come on. There's people need to stay in those homes, and people in their homes who are fortunate enough to be able to pay the rent in that community, they need to support those people. And if we do that, the system can't cope.
You're coming down to, this is coming down to basic humanity and morality.
Exactly.
And beyond
for them, they might get in. It doesn't matter! Their masks on the same face. So what if they get in? Same thing will bloody happen. Comply! No! No, no! Not if it's enslaving me and my children and imposing on my freedom. Comply! Leave your home now it's foreclosed. No! 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 Let's follow this through, shall we? Millions of people in the world are losing their homes, being foreclosed, and ending up homeless. Let's follow this through. Why have you lost your home, my friend? Because I can't pay me mortgage. Why can't you pay your mortgage? Because I lost my job. Why did you lose your job? Because the great banking collapse, they can't get this, they can't get my company went bust. And who's taking your home away and saying you've got to leave? The banks that caused the fricking problem. And we are leaving? What are we doing? What are we doing? No, we won't leave when the banks have caused the problem and now they're telling us to leave to take the assets. No, we won't. And people who are not being foreclosed need to support those that are. We're all in this together. Compulsory vaccinations. No, no, no. You must do what we say. We have changed the law. Not if you are imposing on my freedom and my rights to be a free citizen with a free voice. No, no, no. What are they going to do? They come out of Downing Street, whether it's Clegg and his mate bloody Cameron or it's bloody Obama or whoever it is in America, and they say we've had a discussion and this is what we're going to do. What if vast numbers of people say, well, we ain't doing it? They have got no power whatsoever. Their power comes in our acquiescence. Oh, but you can't defy the law. Okay, let's follow this through, shall we? By the way, while I'm talking, put your arms out and I'll put the handcuffs on, because that's what you're telling me. What you're telling me is this. We have no say in laws that are passed. And then we have to obey those laws. Well, okay, forget freedom then. Okay, what if they passed a law that says we take your children away? Would you obey it? Well, no, no. So there is a line then. There is a line. It's just where is that line? And if a law does not respect human freedom, it does not respect human justice, it doesn't respect fair play, we should not be acquiescing to those laws. We should be refusing to acquiesce.
Rise like lions after slumber in unvanquishable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep has fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few. When we figure that out, there goes their way of life.